Sam Darla here, and tonight we're drawing close. Actually, this week is NFL training camp, so I'm starting my NFL season preview series with starting with the NFC North. I'm gonna start with the Green Bay Packers. A year ago, they went to the playoffs. They upset the Dallas Cowboys. They got all the way to the NFC title game and got destroyed by the Atlanta Falcons. So where does that leave them? Well, what they have is Aaron Rodgers. They're the best quarterback in the league. They have a running back by committee, and they play in a pretty semi-weak division in the NFC North. At least I think it's a semi-weak division. The Green Bay Packers, I expect them to be back in the playoffs. Obviously, the question is how much longer do they have with Aaron Rodgers? He's 32 years old. They don't have a great defense. Their running game isn't very good. Then they do. They, like the rest of the division, have a pretty tough schedule. I mean, they play the NFC South, just filled with pretty good teams, and starting off with the defending NFC champion Atlanta Falcons, and then they've got the much improved Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Saints are always a threat with Drew Brees, and the Carolina Panthers should be better this year, but it obviously depends on Cam Newton. And then they play the AFC North with the Ravens and the Steelers. The Bengals should be better again. It's going to be a tough season, but I think they'll win the division easily. I don't trust Teddy Bridgewater to stay healthy. Actually, Teddy Bridgewater is not going to play at all this year. Question is his career over? Is Teddy Bridgewater ever going to play again? And if not, the Vikings are going to be looking at getting into the quarterback market again in the draft. And I don't think Sam Bradford's good enough to unseat Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay Packers. But the Viking defense should be better. It was good last year. They started off undefeated before failing to make the playoffs. They were 8-0, and then they just kind of hit the skids. And some questions about how much of a window Mike Zimmer has. Has he lost a team? So I think Minnesota will be better. I don't think they'll win the division. I think it's Green Bay's division. Detroit will be in the mix. Matthew Stafford healthy. He suffered a hand injury before the playoffs, and they ultimately bowed out in the first round to the Seattle Seahawks. So, and then the Chicago Bears just went from bad to worse. I looked at Chicago's schedule. They have 10 very tough games before it lightens up before they play the Cleveland Browns. Even then, it's no guarantee because they've gone from Jay Cutler, who gave them a chance to win every single week, to now they've gone to a quarterback. They drafted Mitch Trubisky at the top of the draft, a guy that played only 13 games ever, and Mike Glennon. They went from a 5,000-yard passer, a guy that threw 30 touchdowns, to 14 interceptions a year, and a good run game, and a guy that gave them a shot every week. I mean, yeah, he deflated their own hopes, but at least they had hopes. Now, the question is, how bad will the Chicago Bears be? And that's Jay Cutler is now in broadcasting after the Houston Texans wouldn't sign him. So where does that put the Chicago Bears? The Chicago Bears, I think, will be with the 49ers, the Jaguars, and the Browns as one of the worst teams in the league. It's Green Bay's division, and if healthy and Aaron Rodgers can get a defense, I think the Green Bay Packers will be back in the mix for the Super Bowl. It's a tough conference. This is talk about the differences in the AFC and the NFC. The NFC has much better quarterback play. You got Russell Wilson, you got Drew Brees, you got Matt Ryan, you got Dak Prescott, you've got Jameis Winston should be better this year, and you've got Cam Newton. So you got a lot. It's a quarterback-driven league. You hate to put it all in the quarterback, but and then you've got Matthew Stafford, who's inside the division, and he's no slouch either. So Green Bay's got it tough, but I think Green Bay will win the division with at least probably 10, 11 wins, and then come playoff time, how good are they defensively? Because defensively against the Falcons, they couldn't match up with Julio Jones. They couldn't match up with any of Atlanta's running backs. They couldn't stop Atlanta, period. And Atlanta won that game and went to the Super Bowl, and we all know what happened. So I think Green Bay is the favorite to win that division. I think they're going to win 10, 11 games, make it to the playoffs, and make another run at the Super Bowl. But like I said, how much longer is how much of a window does Aaron Rodgers have? You know, he's 32 years old. Obviously, Brady's playing well into his 40s. Can Aaron Rodgers stay healthy? Obviously, he's had a couple of banged up seasons with his legs. Takes a lot of heat, takes a lot of punishment, but for the most part, he's there when the Packers need him the most. So Green Bay is going to be back in the mix. They're going to be in the Super Bowl mix. Detroit's going to be a playoff team. I don't think they're a division winner. I think they're very good. I think they're a very solid team. They're very good defensively, and like I said, they got Matthew Stafford. The Minnesota, it's really going to come down to has Mike Zimmer lost the team? Because like I said, they went from 8-0 to no playoffs at all. And I think the biggest question mark for the Minnesota Vikings is whether Teddy Bridgewater is going to play another game in the NFL. If not, you know, where does that leave them for the future? Because Sam Bradford's not their future. And for Chicago, really, it's just can they win a game. I don't think they're that. I think they're terrible. I do. I think Jordan Howard's a very good tight end. Jordan Howard's a very good running back. He's not a tight end. They do have they're in full rebuild mode. They're in full terrible mode. I know Bears fans are going to blame John Fox for the failures of the team, but how can you blame the coach when your GM literally waved the white flag and gave up I mean, he's not a great quarterback, but he's a far better passer, far better quarterback than what you got now, and that's Jay Cutler. I mean, why would you give up on that? So, you know, I think Green Bay's going to win it. 10-11 wins, maybe 12 or 13, and their defense is going to determine their fate. I do think they're a Super Bowl contender, but hey, football's back, so you know, we'll see what happens. So yeah, the NFC. So this is what the Green Bay Packers have to start the season. They have to play the Seahawks and they have to play the Falcons. That's a tough 2-week stretch to start the season. But you know, at the end of the day, well, you know, it's Aaron Rodgers and he's the best quarterback in the league. And, you know, those Hail Marys he throws up, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I think we'll see more of those. He can make throws that most quarterbacks can't. And I think that's what makes Aaron Rodgers far better than any other quarterback in the league. But like I said, the NFC is much tougher than the AFC. So it really comes down, their fate is going to be determined by their defense. Detroit's going to be determined by, their defense and their run game, but also their ability to keep Matthew Stafford healthy for an entire 16 games. Minnesota, but do they still respect the coach? And for Chicago, just hope and pray. Hope and pray. And you can't blame John Fox for any of their failures because, like I said, the front office is not putting him in any position to succeed at all. And it's just tough on the coach. He took 2 different franchises to the Super Bowl. He's a great coach. He's just been dealt a terrible roster. So we'll see what happens. It's been Sam Dolly. Thank you for watching.